yet of another overdose here on the island, Lori said we need to do something now. The idea for today and tonight's event was put together by Lori by reaching out to Billy Pfaff, founder of Heroin is Killing My Town. Lori invited Billy to come to the island a couple weeks ago to meet with some people individually, which he did. She then asked Billy if he'd be willing to come back and speak to a larger group, so here he is. We understand that you may have come here today for yourself, or out of concern for a loved one, or maybe out of fear or anger about what drugs are doing to our community. This has affected all of us, some of us ourselves, our parents, our children, grandchild, spouse, sibling, friend, coworker, or neighbor. Addiction doesn't discriminate. Our goal today is about working towards solutions, not finger pointing. It is about sharing with you, and after our speakers, giving you an opportunity to ask questions, make comments, or share your concerns. I'd like to introduce Billy.
I created and started a page called Heroin is Killing My Town because I lost my best friend. And then 6 months later, my daughter's boyfriend had passed away from an overdose also. And I was watching my community fall apart. And there really wasn't many resources or people out there with much knowledge about it, so I started working the streets really hard. I've been doing it for about a year right now, and the biggest problem is silence. Silence is our biggest killer. I was asked to come out on this island for a reason, and I see it. We can't push anything under the rug anymore. Because it's not affecting you, it might be affecting your neighbor. It could be affecting someone you love and you don't even know it yet. The problem that I see on the streets all over New England, all over the world, is people just don't really know what to do. I've walked into many police departments, town halls, firehouses, and I asked them if I was an addict, what would I do or where would I go? And a lot of people really couldn't answer that question. So I started networking and launched this page. Within 6 months, the page has reached, this past August, the page reached 1,038,000 people around the world. And the people that we help actually come back and help me network and team up. As you all may know, we do have a struggle getting people into treatment. Anywhere in the world, it's tough. It doesn't discriminate, rich or poor. I can tell you one thing, that when my phone rings, it don't matter to me if you're living under a bridge, if you're stuck in a drug trap house, or you have $1 million. I'm here today not for an ego trip. I'm here today not to be a superstar. I'm here today to plead to the community and let you all know, if we do not work together hard and hit this at all angles, work in the school systems, work with the police and fire, after school programs, finding resources, support groups, we're not going to beat this epidemic. The death toll is still going up, it's not going down. I myself personally, in the past 16 weeks, have probably placed over 380 people. I wish I could tell you that all 380 people are doing amazing today, but they're not. Since I started this mission, out of the thousands that we've helped with the team and around the world, I can honestly say that we've lost 5 people out of all the people we've helped. We don't want to lose one, but the problem is a lot of people don't know what to do or where to go. I work day in and day out on the streets, and it's kind of made me travel a little bit, which I got to slow down on because I'm flying back and forth to Florida and California and Florida and New York, and they need me in Pennsylvania, but they need help everywhere. But the bottom line, and the reason I'm here today, is to let this community know, if we do not work together, we're not going to solve anything. We have a lot of struggle. There's a lot of people out there that enable. Enabling is a huge issue, huge issue. I've helped families, I've talked to families, and I still find them today enabling and their child's not getting better. And how I learned what I do, I'm not a doctor. I don't have a master's degree, but I learned this firsthand. And I learned this firsthand on helping people change their lives and save their lives and get into treatment and follow through. I was asked a while ago to come out to the island and network. I did. And then someone had reached out to me, Sarita. Is that how you say her name, Sarita? Sarita reached out to me and said, "It's crazy here, Billy, it's only getting worse." So I come back to the island, met with a few police officers in some town halls and dropped my flyers off and started talking to them. and they're all willing to help. And I guess there's been some programs in place for years here, but it just seems like we gotta break the silence. It just seems like we can't get over that initial hump to have no shame, to try to save people before it's too late. And actually, if I could get you all to give me a round of applause for a special person. I'm getting emotional. I pulled a beautiful girl off the island, and she's safe, and she's right there. She had a lot of struggling. I brought Emily off the island, tried to get her resources. I couldn't. We couldn't find a female bed because they're very hard and it's very wrong. So I brought her to a hospital. And this is one of the hospitals that I work with a lot in New England that help addicts. That's a whole other issue, hospitals. She got pushed out on the street the next morning. Wanted it really bad. I talked to her, I inspired her. She felt amazing. She was ready to throw in the towel and save her own life. What do you think goes through a person's mind when they're pushed back out on the street? Oh, within minutes, she had called me. My assistant, Jen, over here, Jen Green's my assistant guy, she's amazing. She found babysitters for her kids and flew all the way about a half-hour ride down to the hospital to sit with Emily to see what was going on so we didn't lose her to the streets. I pulled Emily out of that hospital and I said, don't worry, honey, I told you I'm gonna fight for you and fight for you and fight for you. I kept her with me for a couple days because we couldn't find treatment. And then her mom come out. We're working on getting her private insurance and getting her into programs. But that window of opportunity, when you have someone that wants help and you put them out on the street again, it sets them right up immediately for failure. But I can tell you that I'm here to fight, and I hope that every one of you guys are here to fight and help others. It's about paying it forward, my mission, and when I help somebody, they usually reach out and help me. The bottom line is, please, you guys know there's a lot of silence out here. We can't hide anything. If you went into a hospital with cancer, you know you'd be treated. If you went into a hospital and said you're an addict, you suffer addiction, it's kind of a whole different world. I've been to many hospitals with many people that I've pulled from the streets, and I just find it funny that when I put somebody in that's sick and in dire need of fighting for their life, that they're put on a gurney in the back hall. I've witnessed it personally over and over again, probably 40 to 50 times in the past 6 months. And I think that's wrong. Some people fight, some people say, you know what, they're stupid and they made that mistake. They're a junkie, lose a bum, who cares? They rob and steal, who cares? You know what? Any one of you in this room, if I gave you an IV shot of heroin or fentanyl, you'd probably have a 5% chance at life. It's deadly. And we have to treat them like they need to be treated. I don't care what you do, where you are, what kind of money you have, where you live. If you have a heartbeat, you matter. And that's how everyone should think about things. People look at me and say, look at this guy with tattoos all over and a wife beater. He looks like a thug moron. He's wearing his hat backwards, he don't look professional. But I tell you what, I'm probably one of the biggest advocates that started this war on epidemic, and I hit the streets every day. And I've inspired many to do grassroots and outreach. And I have an amazing team around the world because of it. It don't matter what you look like. It matters if you have a heart and a soul and you care about others who suffer. We need to get into the school systems. We need to work with the police and fire. We need to try to get Narcan everywhere accessible. Then people say, why are you giving them that? So they can go shoot up and play games because they know they're safe, so they use more. That's not the case. We need to help each other. We also need to work on it at a state level, a federal level for funding. My biggest mission and my biggest problem now is that 7 days treatment is actually killing people that suffer from opiate use. I see it every day. One of the stories, I put a girl in Spectrum Healthcare Systems locally. Her mom reached out to me crying, we can't help her. There's nothing I can do, I'm gonna bury my daughter. I put her through for 7 days and she got out. And she felt good and okay. And I kept her under my wing. She was living at my house in my office for 14 days. On the 10th day, she woke up sweating, soaking wet, crawling out of her skin, and it went away again, and then it came back on the 14th day. 7 days is not helping nobody. It's not. And so, I mean, I could talk for hours here on what's going on, but like, enabling's a major problem. If you see someone panhandling, give them some food. Don't give them any kind of cash. Don't feel bad because they look rough or they're holding a sign saying they're a veteran, saying that they're homeless, saying that they have children. Most of the time, it's not true. It's getting out of control. Get them some food and lunch and see what you can do to help them. See if you can find them a shelter to live in. Support them and be inspirational to them and tell them they can overcome anything and help them. Just don't give them money. We have a major problem out here, and it's only getting worse. And the hardest part, I think, about the island, it's not like the city. It's not like Brockton or Lawrence or Worcester. You don't know who's doing what because it's behind closed doors, and then you have families with a lot of shame that don't want people to know about it. We could go to Brockton or Worcester right now or Boston and go to a few streets, a few tent cities, and you can see it right out in plain view. Out here, it's so much more deadlier because we don't know it's there. I just wish that everyone in the community would speak up and try to help and reach out. Start working with the hospitals, the police. Don't be afraid to speak up and don't have any shame. If anyone in this room had cancer, you wouldn't have any problem letting people know, would you? Why is it that when addiction comes into play, no one knows about it until it's too late? It'll come right in your back door and take your loved one right out of your hands in minutes. Safety, shops containers should be in public facilities, medication drop boxes. We need to educate the elderly because they have a lot of prescriptions, and it all starts right in the medicine cabinet in most people's homes. People need to understand that this heroin epidemic has turned into fentanyl. I've worked with the police and law enforcement for a long time. And in my county, Middlesex County, like 25 communities, the past 8 months, it's pretty much been pure fentanyl. It's really hard to get heroin per se. And that's what's taken out a lot of people. We have a benzo problem. We have a big benzo problem, Xanax and K-pins and Adderall. What I'm seeing is I go into a hospital, I get someone in the treatment, they get out, they get better, they go to the doctors. And they're on Xanax, Klonopin, Adderall, speedballing. And in my eyes, if you have an addictive personality, you shouldn't be on any of that stuff. And I just want everyone to know that we need to wake up and educate ourselves. And I have plenty of resources to email any one of you guys. I have booklets for tonight. Someone had donated a lot of money to make booklets to identify the problems, where to go, how to work with the police and fire, in the community, identify the problem. But the problem's not going to go away if we don't address it from all angles. We have to address it in many different ways. And number one, and why I'm here right now, is to wake up the community and say, please don't have any shame, because it's costing people their lives. I've asked probably a couple dozen people on the island how many people we lose this past year, and I couldn't get an honest answer. Some people are afraid of it. Some people know. Phone calls to the paramedics and the police. I think my husband's having a heart attack, he's not breathing, it gets called in as a cardiac arrest, but when it's an overdose, and it doesn't get logged. But I would have to say, from a few people I talked to today, that we're losing one a month here. And this is not a big community to be losing one a month. You know, it's sad. One death is too many. And this room should be full. This room should be packed to that back wall, but it's not. But all you here tonight know there's a problem, and you know we got to speak up and work together to resolve it. It's not about being a hero. It's not about being ashamed. It's not about anything but making a difference and saving these people's lives and getting them the right treatment. If we get them the right treatment, it's going to lower phone calls, it's going to lower death tolls, it's going to lower and tie up our police and EMS. I mean, seeing this beautiful island and being out here, it's a tourist site for many around the world. Anyone want to be here, you know? It seems to me that people are afraid that we might lose some tourists, we might lose some revenue from it. If you don't take it under control right now, you're going to lose everything. But it's not even about the money. It's about human life. Everyone's fast-paced. I mean, it's Friday night. Who wants to be sitting in a library in a school on a Friday night, the weekend's here? You probably have a lot to do to catch up from working hard all week. But that's not the mindset we need. We need to wake up this island. I want to turn the microphone over to John. John Green's a good friend of mine. I met him in this epidemic. He's the founder of No First Time, the Evan Foundation. John is a father that lost his son to addiction. Now he spends his time around the clock going to schools to educate these kids before it's too late. And he's an amazing man, and I'd like to introduce him now. John?
My name is John Green. I learned this experience in this deadly epidemic through my son. As you guys can see the flyers, my son started smoking weed at a young age, and then by the age of 15, due to peer pressure in the back of somebody's car, hanging out with older kids, a kid asked him, there you go, a kid asked him to try a pill, and that pill was called a perk. And knowing, I thought he knew enough about how to say no. We actually, growing up, we all knew about alcoholism in our families and whatnot, and I just didn't know enough about this deadly disease. And working, his mother's working, we came from a great town of Easton, where I came from a town one over, and you always want to do better for your family, so we moved to the town of Easton, thinking it was all that great. Again, it was at the time it was a town that was silenced with this deadly epidemic. And when my son took that first perk, it took him down a path at the age of 17 of shooting up dope. And by that time, between 15 and 17 years old, he got kicked out of school. He was in about 7 different drug treatments, and it was just a nightmare every day dealing with his addiction. He had a sister. At the time, she was 12 years old. And she's seen it too, that he loved his sister so much, but he just never could be there. And so this deadly epidemic that we're talking about right now is, it could start from anywhere. It just starts from a bad, trigger, from even smoking weed all the way down, and even that e-cigarette they're talking about. You see these kids thinking now it's okay to smoke the e-cigarettes, and it's not. So we need to kind of set a steadiness of being in the schools at a young age. I'd figure 5th and 6th grade, let them know, don't try these things, because what happens is the tolerance of pain. Have a Motrin. You get your wisdom teeth taken out, and all of a sudden, they send you home with Perks, OxyContin, and the doctor sends you home with this. And you think, okay, if the doctor says it, it must be right. And it's not. We need to teach our kids to have a better pain tolerance, and that's our job to do. And when my son, at the age of 17, when he first took that needle, we only wished that he was back to the pills. So it's a whole different animal. So every day we were trying to, every day me and his mother would be fighting. Where is he? What is he doing? What's going on? It's hard to even work. I'd wake up at nightmare sweats and always knowing, like, where is he today? And again, Dad, it's not a problem. I got this under control. And so what we did is we had him sectioned. He ended up in Dartmouth for 40-something days. 43 days it was. And we never slept so good in our life, knowing that, he's in jail, but he was safe. Because we had no other resources. We had no idea what to do. And when he came out on December 23rd, 2014, he told us, he gave us a big hug, he said, I'll never go through that again. So we figured, okay, he may have learned his lesson. But the problem with that is, with this heroin, the problem with that is it's called dopamine. And I just learned this recently with Dr. Pody. She says, when you take, let's say we're at 100 dopamine level, us waking up and everyday happiness. When a heroin addict shoots dopamine in his veins, his or her veins, they shoot up to a 900 level. That's impossible. Your brain goes off the charts. Okay, so she explained this on that, so you never get that feeling back again. Then, let's say you do crystal meth, you're at a 350 dopamine. You do cocaine, you're at a 250 dopamine. So then after you come back down off that, you come to a 45 dopamine. You can't get out of bed. So what happens is now somebody, an addict, will start taking their drugs just to be at 100 level. And that's the problem, you know, so it becomes the brain, it controls the brain and the DNA. And that's the thing. So what we're thinking is, you know, it is a problem, it's a disease. It controls the mind. It craves it every day, you know, and that's what we don't understand with an addict, you know. It's like an alien in the body, they say. Once you do that drug, you know, it's just, you're fighting for your life every day. And again, you know, the stats, like Billy was saying, the stats now in Massachusetts, there's like 5 deadly overdoses a week. That's just crazy. And that's not even true numbers, you know, and that's, so what we have to do is we have to try to educate our young kids, because we're losing a generation to this, you know, and I just let you guys know that the pain that every day I wake up, my daughter wakes up every day, she don't know what to do, she looks at me, I try to stay, she's now 15 years old in high school, and she knows, like, geez, Dad, you know, Evan, I can't believe, you know, that happened to us. And every day we look at each other like, what do we do, you know? So me and my wife went to like 5 different vigils at first, and we seen these beautiful families and beautiful kids up on those screens, and it was just like, what do we do, you know? So we started a foundation, and you know, we think it should be no first time for these kids to know it's cool to say no. You know, we need to let them know, listen, don't make it no, you know, no first time is where it's at. And so now, since then, we've actually, we spoke about 10 different schools, and you know, they're being receptive. The kids are, you know, understanding that, they're asking questions, and it seems to me like even the resource officers are really getting involved now, and you know, even the town police officers are really getting involved because they know it's going to be their kid too. You know, doctors, lawyers, it doesn't matter. You know, the stigma, we have to take out the stigma because it can happen to anybody. You know, so I know, and I remember being on this island too. It was actually 3 weeks after my son died, I ended up coming here to a film festival in this island here, and you people helped me. You know, I talked to people, I just lost my son, and they would tell me all their stories on the island, and they helped me. You know, so it's good to give back to an island like this, because I know you guys, great heart. You guys really helped me big time on Martha's Vineyard, and I appreciate that. And I know there were some problems back then. So I'm just glad that I got to speak here and talk to you guys and try to educate you guys about, you know, this is what can happen. You could lose your son, a daughter, or a loved one, husband, doesn't matter. It happens, and it's quick. It happens real quick. So you got to make sure you got to watch them, check the different signs, and always stay on top of them. Because at one point, my son, you know, when he came out of that thing, we thought, okay, he's got this now. He figured it out. But that drug is so bad, it controls your brain. You don't know what you're doing. You know, so you just want to make sure, stay in your person, stay in your kids, make sure, you know, what they're doing, check their rooms. You know, they're very creative. Like Billy was saying about the little bottle caps. I used to see them around all the time, and there'd be more excuses like, oh no, I'm drinking a lot of water, or, you know, these little caps we did. And we all of a sudden see a little cotton. You know, all the spoons were gone in my house, all gone, all bent, and they're gone. So these are different signs that you can kind of check to see. And make sure you check your medicine cabinets too, because that's where it starts. That one little perk took my son, you know, from 15, 19, he's dead. And we have to educate and let you guys know this can happen. I can't believe every day I have to wake up like this, you know, but I will make a purpose in my son's name and help people and educate them. And I thank you guys, really, I do. Thank you very much.
I would like to introduce one more guest. Amy is a representative from Spectrum Healthcare Systems, one of New England's largest facilities. They have everything from clinics to private pay to free care. What do they have, Amy, 18 locations?
We have 11 outpatient locations.
Yeah, 11.
2 more coming very shortly.
Yeah, they're growing. So let Amy tell you that. Amy works with me day in and day out. She reached out to me when I first started doing this. And between me and her, we've made a lot of changes in the way people are treated and the way that facilities are run. And I have to tell you, she's one of the most amazing people I've ever met in the outreach community and in the programs to help people in recovery. Amy?
We're actually based out of Worcester, Massachusetts, and we've been around for 45 years. And what we do is provide substance use services for individuals in the community, both inpatient and outpatient. What I love about Spectrum is the fact that we can serve anyone. We can serve an individual that has no health insurance to someone that has private health insurance. We have enough facilities where we have state-funded beds as well as private beds. And our biggest location is our campus in Westboro, Massachusetts. And on that campus, we have just opened up a 104-bed residential program, the Farris Recovery Center. That is DPH funded. It's funded by the state. So out of there, you'll see individuals that have Mass Health products. It's a state-of-the-art facility, absolutely gorgeous gym, and we're talking about people that are being able to recover in an environment that's beautiful and safe, and that when you're a parent and that's where your son or daughter's going, you pull up and you actually feel like, I can do this. And I think that that's really important, you know, going to the whole fact of dignity and that this is a disease. You know, we need to treat people with respect. On this campus, we also are able to provide detox services. We have a young adult program, which is age 18 to 25 for males. We have a crisis stabilization, or what they call a CSS program. And then we also have a location in Weymouth that provides similar services. We have a CSS program as well there, and detoxification services there as well. I've been with Spectrum about 5 years, and I actually really never expected to work in the addiction field. I worked in mental health before, and now I feel like I sort of eat, sleep, drink, breathe addiction. And in a way, it's a great thing for me. I have 3 young children, and what I think about every day when I go home is that it could just as easily be one of my children. They're young now, but a couple of years down the road, I could be in the same place that other people are at right now that are calling me every day saying, I am going to lose my child. And I sit on the other line and I say, we're gonna try to get you some help today. So I do want you to know that there is a lot of hope out there, because I've seen so many success stories. And there are resources, and there are people that will pick up the phone and guide you. So reach out to people, make those phone calls. I'm gonna leave information about all of our programming, and I'm gonna leave my card, and I will tell you my cell phone number is on that card. If you need to call me, if you need to text me, however you wanna reach me, do it, because I will call you back and we will do whatever we can to get you in some place. And I know that it's hard, and I know sometimes there are waits, but we are really committed to working for all of you.
To actually do
Do it,
something
yeah.
about it, it's gonna be.
That's like me going to a Narcan training in a community that's
Very
hit.
true.
We're doing Narcan training in a community that's hit, right? Like my hometown, Bill Ricker, where I came from. We've lost like 36 or 34 people in the past couple of years. We did a Narcan training there one night. I was there, there was 4 people. 4 people. There should have been 400. It comes and goes. It comes and goes. But I think a lot of it is people get discouraged and there's still a stigma. If we can stop the stigma and keep it right on the front lines like I do, and keep speaking and speaking and speaking, you will be heard. The squeaky wheel gets the grease on all avenues. If we could have 6 recovery coaches in the town to volunteer, but I'll tell you what, I live, eat, and sleep this. It consumes your life. I don't have a personal life no more. But thank you so much for caring, and we need to work together.